Okay, we're going to try to assemble a case and show you where these standoffs and everything go. So, got the case parts over here. We'll come back to that in a second. First off, we're going to look at standoffs and get this all set up. If you dump the bag out, there's a couple of these that match and a couple that don't, but let's kind of put these in position here. So we've got these ones with the small brass fitting down here, the 3mm guys. Those are going to go on the pie and then onto the Fates board. We've got some couple of 10 plus 15s there. Those are going to go up here on the top. Then we've got a couple of 15 plus 6 spacers, and those are going to go over here. There's one that's got a black mark on it. That's your bottom left corner. So that one is marked because it's got a longer screw that's going to come in from the top of the case, so it's kind of important to make sure that one goes there. We got some little rubber feet. We'll come back to those later. Here on this pie, there are a couple things you should note. The bottom screw is a 5mm screw. Everything else, most everything else, is a 6mm screw. So you want to keep these two guys off to the side, and remember those are the short ones. So on the pie, we're going to take these little things apart and assemble these on the pie first. So this 3mm is going to go on the bottom. These all go on the right side of the pie with the Ethernet, and the ports go into the back. So you just want to kind of throw that in there. And I just do this with my fingers. Until it's finger tight. You can kind of do it from both sides. And that's good like that. So it's going to be like this, and then the front right corner, same thing. Okay, so the pie is kind of ready to go. We're just going to go ahead and put that on the board. And now that matches up really nice right there. So let's do the top corners there while we're at it. So these 10mm guys are going to go in from the top. Let's move that around. And again, these don't have to be super snug or anything, just kind of finger tight. And I'm going to go ahead and take those screws out of there. Send these all assembled so that I don't lose any parts while making the kits. So it's kind of a pain to take them all apart, but don't take them all apart at first and then get them all mixed up, because it's easier to kind of do these one at a time. So same thing now, working around the back side here. So we've got this 10 on the top and a 15 on the bottom. The longer ones go to the bottom for the most part. I think that goes all the way around the same. So same thing here. Let's take these screws out. And I'm keeping all those 6mm together and the 5mm over here, so you don't get confused. All right, we've got this and this. Now we'll go around the side here. This one does not have a top screw. It's just got a bottom screw. Mostly this is just to sort of support the display and give us an extra mounting screw on the bottom. You could put a screw in there, but it's actually fairly hard to get it into the corner of the display here with the bezel. So I just didn't worry about it. Again, you got this long screw. In the black kits, that's a 10mm, yeah, I think that's right. On the white kits, this is an 8mm. It doesn't really matter for the length, but just it'll look a little shorter if you've got a silver set of screws. All right, black, again, that black one goes in the corner here. And again, you want to have the display off when you do all this. It makes it so much easier. And now we're nice and flat on the bottom. Everything's supported. Going to attach the display. I like to kind of line it up on one pin and then get it kind of in there and get it across. So now you'll see those two side spacers pretty evenly lined up right there with the size of the display, and this is ready to go. So now we've got a bunch of screws over here. I'm going to set this aside for a second. We're going to peel some paper off of the acrylic parts. So this has a paper backing, which kind of keeps it from getting too screwed up when it goes through the laser cutter. So we just want to peel all this off. Maybe we should do this fairly quickly, but maybe we'll fast forward it here as well. through the process. Some bits will stick or you'll have problems, or there might be some bits that are torn off, usually out on the underside. Doesn't really matter because that's the side you're not going to see. The matte surface goes to the outside of the case, so you want everything to kind of look like that. There might be some little bits here or there. You can just kind of give it a quick wipe and make sure it looks nice and clean. Backside doesn't really matter if it's got some scuffs on it or anything. So I'm just going to do all the rest of these pieces. May be helpful if you've got fingernails. Sometimes it helps to kind of grab a corner, or you can grab X-Acto knife and just give it like the slightest little nudge to get it started. You don't want to scratch that too much, especially on the outside surface, and cause any scratches. But you kind of got to get your fingernail there to get the stuff going. Once you've got it going, it's pretty okay. You can usually get it off without too much trouble. If there are some bits that stick, you just got to come back with your fingernail and kind of go at it again. These lines cases tend to be a little more kind of fall apart as far as the paper backing goes. So just going to kind of go through these and be right back here after we maybe fast forward a bit.
Sorry, I have some paper towel, that's okay.
Okay, we got to the part here where you're going to see some of the backing is sort of stuck in between these little letters that were rastered in on the back panel. Best thing is just use your fingernail, kind of scrape along there to get those little bits off. It may leave a little bit of residue in the slots there. Not sure what to do about that. You could probably try to get it with a little rag or something to clean up, but usually your fingernail will kind of get most of that out. Now, this little part, you're wondering, what the hell is this thing? What's this all about? We're going to come back to that in a minute, but it's a shim for the side of the case. And if you wanted to mount a fan on the side of the case, you could do that with this thing. You probably don't even care about this or want to use it, but it's there. I threw it in there. What the heck? And maybe it's useful to, like, you know, one person out there. I'll show you what the fan looks like later. So we're going to just set that aside for now. So now we've got case parts. So I would suggest do the top first. And again, your matte side is going to go up or to the outside. Buttons, you want to already have the buttons already attached to the switches there. And let's get a screwdriver. Where the heck is a screwdriver? All right. So don't want to tighten these way down just yet. Just kind of put stuff together enough to sort of snug it in place. Again, this long screw goes in the bottom left corner. It's going to kind of, you don't want to tighten that one way down either. You just want to kind of get it in place into the spacer down there to kind of hold everything together. And you might just kind of tighten it until it feels like it's got a little tension on it. And then we can adjust that some more later. Get these other screws on this side. And here. All right, looking good right there. So now you're going to flip it over, and you want to drop in all of the side bits and get them in place. Now, I don't think there's anything too exciting here to note, aside from rounded parts go to the bottom of the case, or in this case, up. So most of the slots are sort of only going to fit one way. So just make sure your matte surface is going to the outside. You might need to sort of angle it in and then lean it a little bit. So do the sides first. On the back here, let's get this kind of in place. That one doesn't seem to want to get it go as well. Might need to snap just a little bit. Don't force anything because you don't want to break the acrylic. So last part is, again, the little notch for the SD card is going to go to the bottom there, and the rounded parts. Earlier cases did not have rounded parts on the on the long sides. The later cases do. So if yours is different, don't sweat it. Okay, those are in. They're going to be a little floppy here until we tighten it all up. But you want to drop the bottom on here. Again, the notch goes towards the front where the SD card slot is, right there. And kind of drop that together. And now it looks like a case, right? So we want to get some screws going. So, and again, I'm going to work through these 6 millimeters first. These two guys are your 5 millimeters, so let's leave those till last. There are some extra holes in the bottom of the case here if you wanted to add additional standoffs on the pie. I didn't find those were really necessary, but I left the holes there just in case somebody's excited about wanting to do that themselves. Tighten that down. We've got one more here. The other thing, you might not want to actually tighten these all the way down just yet. Leave it loose so that if things aren't quite lining up, you can get the screws in and then tighten it down more later. Okay, so am I missing? Yeah, there we go. So looking at the bottom, you got these 3 over here, you got one there, and then the 2 short ones, the 5 millimeters, are going to go over here to this side. And those you can kind of snug up because the pie is going to be in good shape. So, done that. Let's tighten these one more time. That's all good. Then, since we're looking at it here, let's put the rubber feet on. I threw you these just in case you like it. Like right now, it kind of slides around a little bit on those, on just the acrylic feet. They just kind of give you a little extra height and ventilation. I like these little stick-on bumpers. You just kind of stick those to the case here, and that'll give you a little extra grip on a table. Just not covering up the things, just don't need to go in any particular direction or any particular way. Just kind of put them there. So now that's going to have much more solid. And that's kind of it. Buttons don't look like they're quite lined up here. I'm not sure what's going on. You can see it more with the blue ones here. This is my test setup. Then you're just going to add some knobs, and everything's good. And maybe not have extra paper there. So that's that. And this fan shim, I'll show you what this is going on. I don't know where my fan went, but I'll see if I can find it. This can go out here. I think it goes the other way because this one's backwards, maybe. I can't remember what happened there. Anyway, this is going to get covered up. But you can get a 30 millimeter fan and attach it on the outside of the case right there. It'll block some ports, but if you want a fan, you could have a fan there. Run the power cable for the fan into the inside. There's a 5-volt header on the inside. So there's a 5-volt header right there. So you could run the fan power to a little header right there if you got really excited about it. If not, don't worry about it. And that's kind of it. If you don't like that, turn it into a necklace, throw it in your bag of stuff, keep it around, throw it away, whatever you like. You might want it, you might not. So that's that, and hopefully everything looks cool.